For more on this, let's bring in Mike Froman, president of the Council on Foreign Relations. Mike, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Let's start with former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo and what message this sends to America's adversaries, and I'll get you to react.
There's no doubt the Ayatollah was watching this as well, as would the senior leadership of the Iranian terror forces, the IRGC. They would have seen that when President Trump says, I'm going to be serious about protecting things that matter to America, he absolutely means it. And just like with Operation Midnight Hammer against Iran, he now has gone and taken a narco-terrorist out of Venezuela and brought him to the United States for prosecution. They can certainly see that this is a president that's serious about taking care of the things that matter to the American people.
In your view, what is the impact of this mission on other regimes?
Well, every country, of course, is different. But I think, as the Secretary of State said yesterday, if you were Cuba or maybe even Colombia, you would have concerns, given the importance that this administration has placed on the Western Hemisphere. Sure. Iran's a bit different. I mean, the president has obviously demonstrated his willingness to use force against Iran and threatened it again recently. And I think the Iranians need to take that seriously. What it would mean for the U.S. to go in and protect protesters in Iran, which is much further away, where we have much less intelligence capability, much less military capability right there on the edge, is another issue.
From the Washington Examiner, a welcome end to the Maduro regime. By enforcing a modern Monroe Doctrine with real consequences, Trump has shown that American leadership still matters in the Western Hemisphere. Removing Maduro dismantles a criminal regime, blocks Chinese expansion, and reasserts U.S. resolve to defend democratic sovereignty close to home. What is the impact here at home? Do you expect fewer drugs to come across the border and perhaps a more peaceful hemisphere?
Well, I don't think anybody's going to cry tears for Maduro's departure, even if there's a debate over the process and the legality of the strike per se. Most of the drugs coming out of Venezuela were going to Europe, not to the United States. You notice in the indictment of Maduro, there's no mention of fentanyl at all. There was cocaine going elsewhere. But certainly, the president has made clear that it's part of the Trump corollary to the Monroe Doctrine, or as he called it yesterday, the Donroe Doctrine, that we want a peaceful, secure set of countries in our own hemisphere surrounding us, and sees Venezuela, particularly with its oil reserves, as being of great significant U.S. national interest.
Trump foreign policy is fascinating. He has been against so-called stupid wars, and yet he was very aggressive in going after Iranian nukes and then very aggressive in going after Nicolas Maduro. How do you assess his foreign policy?
Well, this is going to be a really interesting test case because in the Iranian case, of course, he bombed them, but he didn't put boots on the ground. Here, we had a limited action on the ground. What it means to run Venezuela without having boots on the ground remains to be seen. We have experience running countries. We ran Germany, we ran Japan, we ran Iraq. We've had some mixed results as well, but all of them involved significant U.S. military presence in order to pull that off. Right now, he seems to be deferring to the sitting vice president, or Delcy Rodriguez, who was sworn in as acting president, who is very much part of the old Maduro regime. And so maybe he has assurances that she's changed her policies and the regime is going to change. It seems like that would be quite ambitious at this point. And whether we can really see a Venezuela, the kind of Venezuela we want to see develop there, including one open to U.S. investment in the oil sector, and one that is not sending drugs around the rest of the world, when there's so much criminality, alleged criminality, so much corruption, decapitation is not democracy. Decapitation does not engender reform itself. It takes ongoing work. And as you said, the president has campaigned against state building, campaigned against these kinds of deep U.S. engagements in the reconstruction of a country. It'll be interesting to see whether he can do Venezuela on the cheap or not.
With that in mind, do you expect a quick transition?
Well, I don't. I mean, I think there's a question of, will there be elections? How soon will the elections happen? I was frankly surprised that he was critical of Machado in his press conference yesterday. Machado and her opposition partner are thought of as having won the last election. Clearly, we'd like to see a real free and fair election and see who comes out of that. And we're going to want to create the conditions that are necessary for that. And then when it comes to the issue of oil, we have American companies that have had a long interest in Venezuela. Chevron has been working there throughout this process under a license, under the sanctions by the Treasury Department. Exxon used to be there. ConocoPhillips used to be there. Whether or not they want to go back in and invest billions of dollars to rebuild the infrastructure until there really is a stable political situation and a stable security situation remains to be seen.
Fascinating. Mike Froman, thank you so much for your time and your analysis today.
Thanks for having me.
Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.